Hello guys, welcome to my channel How to Learn. In this video, I want to explain about what is functional interface and lambda expression. Functional interfaces are nothing but an interface which have one abstract method and it can have any number of default and static methods. It means it is not mandated to have default and static methods, but it can have. It is optional. But if it's come to abstract method, for sure it should have only one abstract method only. Even if it have less than one abstract method or more than one abstract method, it is not known as functional interface. Okay, now let's try to look into some examples where Java implemented functional interfaces. Let's go to runnable. We observe it here. Now it is annotated as @functional interface. Okay, and let's try to look into comparator. Even it is a functional interface, and let me try to expand these interfaces. If you observe here, it have only one abstract method. It not had any default or static methods, but still it is known as functional interface. The reason is it have one abstract method, right? And let's go to this comparator. Let's come to this comparator. It have one abstract method and some default methods, right? So here now I hope you guys understood. It may have any number of default and static method, but it should have only one abstract method. And whenever an interviewer asks you for an example in the Java internal implementation, you can give him examples as runnable or comparative interfaces. Now let's try to create an interface here, functional interface. Let's say a functional interface name is light, and let me try to create a method, an abstract method, public void test light, and a static method, public static void switch on. Let me try to print some message. Switch on. Now let me try to create a default method here. Default void switch off. Let me try to print some message here. Switch off. Okay, and now let's try to understand about another annotation @functional interface. Actually, the usage of this annotation is it will validate this particular interface. Okay, now we have an interface light, right? If you annotate this interface with this annotation, it will check whether it is following the rules of functional interface or not. Okay, now I will try to create an abstract method, another abstract method, then it will raise a compile time error, guys. You can observe it here. See, now I'm getting some error, compile time error, that invalid @functional interface annotation light is not a functional interface. It means whenever you want to create a functional interface, I recommend you to annotate this particular interface, this annotation. The reason is beginners may forget. Okay, whenever they are creating some functional interfaces, they may forget and they may create another abstract method. So that is the reason it is recommended to use @functional interface annotation whenever you are creating some functional interface. Okay, now I hope you guys got some idea what is the functional interface and what are the rules and what is the use of this annotation. Now let's try to discuss about lambda expression. Lambda expressions is used to represent an anonymous functions in Java. Actually, what are these anonymous functions? A function without a name is known as anonymous functions, and these lambda expressions can be passed as parameters to methods and also be used as form of variables. And it also provides implementation of functional interface. Okay, now here if you observe, we have a functional interface, right? Now let's try to implement this abstract method, or I can say let's try to implement this functional interface with help of a lambda expression. Now let's do it here. Let's say light equal to, now I'm trying to implement it, this lambda expression. Once I have implemented it, I will explain about the syntax also, guys, don't worry about it. A implementation of functional interface light. let me try to call this method. Let me say light dot test light. Let me try to run the application now. Here we got the result, right? Now I will explain what is the syntax. Okay, here if you observe, these braces are useful for passing parameters, and this curly brace, in this curly braces we have body of the implementation, and this arrow is for linking these parameters and these curly braces. I can say like it is for linking parameters on the body. Now you may get it out. Do we really need these braces, and is it mandated to have these braces while passing the parameters? Actually, we have different kind of scenarios. Now let's try to discuss one by one. Okay. Now let's try to add two parameters here, int a comma b. Now here we need to pass two parameters because we have added two parameters here, right? Now let me try to add two parameters from here, and let me add I and j here. Let me try to rerun the application. Now we got the result 3. If you observe here, we are only having one line of code, right? So there is no need of using these curly braces. Whenever you are not having implementation more than one line, then there is no need of using these curly braces. We can just use it like this. Okay, even now we got the result, right? What if we have some return type here, right? Now what I can do means I can simply say I plus j, return I plus j. Now, so how we can implement this? I'll say run as application. Sorry, I need to print it, right? I forgot. Let me paste it here, and let me try to rerun the application. Now I was able to got the output. Earlier we used to just print it. Now we are able to try to get the result from this lambda expression and printing it with help of system.out.println. Now what you guys observe now, if it's come to there is return statement, if we are not having this braces, we are getting some errors, right? So let me try to remove this return statement. It means whenever we are returning some result, there is no need of return statement also. If we are using this return statement, for sure we need to add braces here. But if we are not using this return statement, there is no need of braces also. Let me try to remove these braces. Now I can easily return the result, right? Now what we understand from these examples, curly braces are not mandatory. Curly braces are mandatory when we have multiple lines of code or when we are using the return statement. Okay, and even return statement is not mandatory if we are returning the result in the first line of code only. Now what is the other thing? We have this braces for passing parameters. Are these braces mandatory for passing parameters? That is our next question, right? If we are using multiple parameters, it is mandatory, but if I am using only one parameter, then it is not mandatory. Let me return I. Let me say 100. Let me try to rerun the application. Now we are able to get the result, right? It means even the braces are not mandatory if we are having only one input parameter. I hope you guys understand. Now let's try to see an example here, and let's understand how lambda expressions make our life easier if it's come to real-time coding. Okay, if you observe here, I'm trying to sort a list of employees based on their age. Here I have a class with implemented comparator, and I have implemented this compare method which helps us in sorting this list of employees. Now even if I print the data, a list of employees after sorting, I'm getting the employees printed based on the age, right? But how we can simplify this code? By using lambda expression. If you observe this sort method carefully, here it is expecting inputs as list and comparator, right? List and comparator. What is this comparator? comparison functional interface. And what we can do with this lambda expression, we can implement this comparator using this lambda expression. As we discussed before, we can pass these lambda expressions as parameters in methods, or we can assign it to variables, right? So what I'll do here means I'll just remove this new age comparator and I'll try to pass a lambda expression as parameter. Let me say I dot get age dot compare to j dot get age. Okay, now let me try to rerun the application. Let's check whether this code helps us in sorting the employees based on age or not. Now even we got the employees sorted based on the age, right? It means we are able to avoid these many lines of code by using just a one line of simple code. Now I hope you guys understood how lambda expressions make our life very easier if it's come to this real-time examples. Even in every company they are expecting us to write in Java 8, right? It's become a mandatory thing. Even in interviews, people are expecting us to write programs on using this lambda expressions. I can say like using Java 8 futures. Even in streams, we'll use this lambda expressions, guys. If it's come to this filter predicates and all, predicate is a functional interface and we'll implement it using this lambda expression, right? Let's try to discuss about the functional interfaces like predicate, consumer, supplier in upcoming videos. If you guys need more updates from our channel, please like and subscribe.